Come, Nerevar, come. Gaze upon the Skyrim quest mods. While this list is not extensive, you will find some mods you can recognize here. Most of them can be found in the darkest depths of Red Mountain. Let us begin. The mod beyond Skyrim. Bruma is perhaps one of the best representations of Cyrodiil in Skyrim, going back to Bruma for the first time since Oblivion. The quests in and around Bruma are fun and dynamic. Even before you enter Bruma, getting documents is quite the challenge, and you have to break out some Enwas out of prison. Yes, you do get to meet the mongrel dog's count and complete some quests for him, but the best quest is with that one orc. I won't spoil it for you, Nerevar, but let's just say you're in for a surprise. Speaking of Bruma, let's talk about Rigmor of Bruma with the sequel Rigmor of Cyrodiil. While it has a few hiccups here and there, and the main character is an Enwa Nord girl, however, the battles in this mod honor the Sixth House and the tribe unmourned. The plot may be occasionally Sheogorath-level cheesy, but overall it has solid storytelling and amazing visuals. The levels and dungeons are very unique and dynamic compared to most quest mods that are on this list. You get to go into the Gates of Oblivion and meet Malakath, fight Akaviri snake Enwas, fight against a goth girlfriend, fight against teenage angst, fight pirates on a pirate ship, and fight major battles that rival the Total War series. Nerevar, this is a good mod. Now, when it comes to compelling storytelling, the Vigilant mod is basically the Dark Souls, but with Elder Scrolls lore behind it. It is a 4-part mod, with each part having its own distinct plot and mission. The first part just sends you across Skyrim, and the second part has a horror dungeon crawling aspect, while the third part is basically layers of fear combined with Skyrim, where you have to explore a haunted mansion. The fourth and final part is where the Dark Souls business begins, where you get to fight a bunch of Daedra bosses, as well as some first-era Elysian bosses. I don't want to spoil much, Nerevar. It is an experience to behold. Honestly, I should have also made an appearance. However, even though it is not exactly finished, plot-wise and gameplay mechanic-wise, I do prefer the Glenmoril mod above Vigilant. Yes, it is heavily inspired by Bloodborne, but with an Elder Scrolls spin on it. The fact that you actually have lore-friendly rifles that you can give your followers is amazing. Also, some of the levels in this mod are a lot more terrifying and dark than the ones you can find in Vigilant. Lalanoa and Brant's story arc, as well as the airship, Hunter's story arc, is probably one of the best quest experiences I have ever witnessed. Nerevar, not going to spoil anything, but the orphanage scenes were probably the wildest experiences in a mod I have seen. I do highly recommend it, even if it is unfinished. By the way, if you want to dream of me, Nerevar, please press the appropriate Dwemer buttons. Do you realize how long it took me to compile this list, you Enwa? Now honor the Sixth House and the tribe unmourned and write, "Yes, Lord Dagoth," on the parchment down below. Let's not forget about Enderal. It is not set in the Elder Scrolls universe, so I am not going to spend too much time on it. However, the storytelling, world-building, and quests are compelling. It is its own sprawling world, Nerevar. I'll just leave it at that. It is very depressing, though. The legacy of the Dragonborn, on the other hand, turns you into a museum curator. All the worthless loot that you have gathered now has a purpose. A place of such culture does not belong in Skyrim of all places, but I have to give it to them. This museum is very beautiful. Once you collect enough artifacts, it also has quests that relate to the mod itself. While completing other quests, you do get to collect items and also join the Explorers Society, which has its own quests. Apparently also the Moonpath to Elsewhere, or Moonpath to Farm Tool Country, became a part of this mod. An earlier version of Moonpath to Elsewhere was a much more lackluster experience. The Legacy of the Dragonborn is the most completionist mod on this list, so you better start working on collecting all that loot, Nerevar. It is a rewarding experience. Falskaar was a good mod for its time, however. It did not age well. It has a very forgettable plot and short quests without that many exciting moments. I guess the big battle was exciting, but overall not really. You can only play it for nostalgia, not for the plot. The Gothic Orpheus mod was a bug-riddled mess. The idea was great, but the execution did not honor the Sixth House and the tribe unmourned. When it comes to Dark Brotherhood quests, the Dark Brotherhood of Old is one of the best mods out there. You get to expand the Dark Brotherhood and actually make a difference in the organization. Babette and Nazir play a more prominent role, and Lucian LeChance and his future offspring appear. You also get to make the Dawnstar Sanctuary a lot more populated than it is, and each new member has their backstory. I do recommend this one. While I have not played Project AHO, I have experienced Carved Brink, and what an experience that was. It is a very sophisticated mod with goblins and a very charismatic shell that will guide you through this strange world. You explore probably the most creative dungeons in this mod. My favorite mechanic is flying from island to island that is suspended in the air. You also get to partake in some goblin activities. Oh, Moon and Star, how can I forget the Moon and Star mod? This is where you make an appearance, Nerevar, and you help the Dragonborn fight against a large dwarven centurion. This is the most Dunmer mod on the list, so I approve of it. It even adds a small settlement called Little Vivek. The Dragonborn has a choice to work with you or put an end to you, something that I could not do, unfortunately. Another sort of Dunmer mod is the horror mod called Clockwork, where you are trapped in a haunted mansion and some automatic servants that look suspiciously like ordinators don't exactly want you to leave. You explore a very creepy cave system that leads to this mansion. There is a ghost lady that screams and keeps following you. The mansion itself is run on very advanced technology made obviously by the Dwemer. You can justify anything with Dwemer technology, Nerevar. How can I forget about the Forgotten City? This is one of the more interesting mods when it comes to Skyrim. You are sent to a city with an artificial sun, buried deep within Dwemer ruin, which is basically a police state. You commit one crime and the whole place will come crashing down. It can be very frustrating, especially since most of the population of the city are Enwas. It is an interesting concept, but personally, I wanted a much more dramatic conclusion. The Curse of Akavir had potential, but is a bug-ridden mess. I did not want to mention it, but it did have a lot of effort put into it, so here you go. Sinister Seven is quite the mod. You get pursued by a bunch of mercenaries that want to vanquish you, and they are quite capable. This mod interferes with other quest mods, but adds a lot of fun moments. The final battle is also very engaging, and you actually have to prepare for it. If you enjoy engaging in battles, I recommend the Second Civil War mod, where the story of the Civil War gets extended. The Empire and the Stormcloaks basically need to fend off the Thalmor together. The battles are brutal, and you may even lose a city or two. The stakes are high and the armies are pretty large. You will never get bored of this mod, Nerevar. Also, the Thalmor will even send assassins to stop you. If you like action, this is your mod. If you like rebuilding cities and attracting new residents, Helgen Reborn is definitely the mod you need to install. It was one of the very first Skyrim mods to experience, and surprisingly, it has aged quite well for an older mod. Seeing Helgen being rebuilt from rubble into a bustling village is truly a magnificent sight, Nerevar. There was also the Chamomile mod, which also had potential but did not live up to my expectations. I highly recommend the Final Cataclysm if you like RPG platformers or platformers in general. The enemies here are probably one of the strongest in the series. They are unique and terrifying at the same time. The levels are complicated. You have to jump from platform to platform and solve very complex puzzles. Some enemies themselves are puzzles. The boss battles, especially against an overpowered time dragon, were one of the best I have witnessed. Nerevar, you go in there, a mortal, and when you come back stacked with weapons and armor from this mod, you are an overpowered god. Any other quest mod will not be able to withstand your power. Oh, it also has laser crossbows. Also, the island of Dreamborne was a beautiful visually, but plot-wise forgettable mod. However, it has one of the most powerful weapons in quest mods I have seen, especially if you are a stealth archer. It is a crossbow named Furnace. It was extremely useful when it came to the Final Cataclysm mod. I would not have made it if it wasn't for that crossbow. What else I found peculiar about Dreamborne is that you have to sleep in order to get into the world of this mod. Then you have Undeath, where you get to become a powerful lich, but first you have to complete a few quests. While it is a very fun mod when it comes to cleansing dungeons from necromancers, the process of turning into a lich is lackluster and basically a glorified fetch quest. Overall, though, it is a good mod. Mirai, the girl with a dragon heart, is also a very good mod. Just like Serana from the Dawn Guard, Mirai is a good companion. You do get to speak to a few dragons as well as fight some interesting factions in order to figure out Mirai's destiny. You actually get imprisoned here even if you are a literal god. This is a very mid-tier mod, but is much better than some mods on this list. Nerevar, how can you imprison a god? What a grand and intoxicating innocence. Moving on. If do like the MediEvil series, there is also a MediEvil mod for Skyrim called MediEvil, the hero of Gallowmere, which does an excellent job capturing the humor and the spirit of the series. You can then play as your favorite jawless skeleton, Sir Daniel Fortesque, in regular Skyrim once you beat the MediEvil quest. A truly enlightening experience. There is also the Skygerfall or the Skyrim Daggerfall mod that allows you to play through the main quest of Daggerfall but without pixelated graphics and awful sprites. It is an interesting concept, though I wish the whole game was transferred into Skyrim. Skywind and Sky Bolivian are still in development hell, but somehow Skygerfall exists and functions, even though it is only the main quest. Overall, it is an enjoyable experience and I recommend it. As for romance mods, there's Amorous Adventures, which inadvertently makes Skyrim into a harem anime. You have way too many options and way too many bugs. Even though it is just a bug, it does add a jealousy function to the game. For some reason, if you decide to pursue another romantic interest in front of the other, sometimes hostilities ensue. The Skyrim Romance Mod makes Skyrim into a shoujo anime that gives you a list of antisocial Enwa chads for you to spend your time with. I haven't really touched Wheels of Lull, but it seems like an interesting concept that explores the false god Sota Sil. I will be exploring some more quest mods in the future. Look forward to some news from my devoted follower in the future. The same goes for Wyrmth Tooth and other mods that I have not mentioned. I will be putting forward a grand poll to see which mod you would like to see in the next edition. Please add your suggestions to the parchment below. Please don't forget to honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned. Also, when are we getting all the major mods we were promised? There are so many exciting mod concepts that have not been released, Nerevar.